Mheshimiwa Odinga has been part of Kenyan politics for very long. He excites just like he annoys. He pleases just like he displeases. One commentator described him in a book as an enigma. Somebody you cannot pigeonhole very easily and use one label or one prism of understanding him. But the picture many Kenyans know, and I think much of Africa, is the streetwise Raila, a man of the people. He has a very fundamental philosophy that touches on what I see as a three-dimensional, framework, if I may simplify it that way. First, he has this very strong, understanding of good governance. And the reason why countries in Africa needs to invest in good governance and sees that as one, if not the only, greatest challenge that faces the continent of Africa. And that's why if you want to see him beyond the streets, you will see a man who has strived to create structures and environment and circumstances and situations that are amiable to good governance, democracy, people-based, people-focused, and people-oriented way of managing public affairs. That is a very fundamental dimension of the Right Honorable Prime Minister that we are talking about. And if you look through Raila's career, from an engineer in the University of Nairobi, a public servant in Kenya Bureau of Standards, a detainee of the Moi administration, and the free Raila who now participates in the political arena of this country, known more for being a kingmaker than becoming king himself. How you can summarize that is his transformational mindset. He is a man who, in whatever he's doing and wherever he is, you cannot actually fail to see his transformational spirit, or if you want, you can call it a philosophy that is embedded in the need to transform society, to make it better, to make it livable, and to make it, an environment where people's lives can be dignified and transformed, whether you're talking about economically, you're talking about politically, or you're talking about socially. That's a second dimension, transformational leadership. I see that. Raila is a leader beyond the borders of Kenya. I sometimes have a feeling that confining him to the country, to the national borders, sometimes is not doing justice to him. He has friends, first of all, across Africa. In fact, the man who introduced Raila as one going to seek the African Union Commission seat was not a Kenyan. Was a Nigerian former president, His Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo. So what that says about Raila is his Pan-Africanist credentials. That is what I think makes him much more relevant to run for the chairmanship of the African Union Commission. And that's so in summary then, Raila's philosophy of leadership and management of public affairs, whether within the Kenyan national boundaries or the continental boundaries of our mother continent, Africa, seemed to be embedded in these three aspects. One, transformation leadership, two, good governance, and three, Pan-Africanism. So there are those who look at is running for this chairmanship for the African Union Commission to have denied them a chance to have Raila the liberator that they have known over the years. One key characteristics tenet of Kenyan politics is the everyday people from one season to the other are looking for a savior. They're looking for a liberator. And Raila's filled that void, a Moses to take them from Egypt to, if we can use that biblical metaphor. Remember last time he said we were crossing the Red Sea and we would not proceed when we encountered the crocodiles. He's known and understood the national psyche of a people who need a savior, who need a liberator, who need some kind of new exodus. And he taps into that. He is now missing in action. Actually, Raila is mere locally. There's that dimension. There is also another school of thought which says the Right Honorable Prime Minister has had enough. He has tried his best. And it appears that Kenyans like him, but not all Kenyans like him. Perhaps what he has not managed to do in Kenya by becoming president and subsequently liberating the country, he can do it at the level of the continent. So there is what one could call divided opinion. In fact, I will not be surprised that there are Kenyans right now who are on their knees praying that he loses in the African Union, because when he loses, he will come back here and he will rejuvenate the Raila that they know, streetwise, demonstrations, maandamano, mapambano. Remember the good old songs? That's what we know Raila for. We don't know him for the boardroom. We don't know him as a man of the newsroom. No, it is you guys who go to look for Raila, not Raila looking for you like we do. Our current president is a politician par excellence. And he knows and understands who Raila is, the power that Raila commands, the following that Raila commands, which actually cuts across ethnic groups. Some people may want to reduce Raila as a Luo leader. I have seen fanatical followers of Raila Odinga in my village, very far away from Luo land, who are ready to die for him. So Raila has a cross-country kind of following. Any president of any establishment will actually be forced to have a phobia for him, politically speaking. There is an extent to which you can fight your enemy. There's a point where you have to give in. But you give in ways that make you a winner. If you look back to the 2007, 2008, Raila and Kibaki were the protagonists. And they fought. Raila reached a point and said, we have to stop somewhere. He emerged as a prime minister out of that crisis. You get that? And he got nusu mkate. If you look at the following dispensation, the Kibaki succession, then Kenyatta 2 comes in, Raila fought. Then he reached some point that said, well, beyond here, we cannot afford the destruction. Then one more time, they stood at the same threshold of Harambee House where they stood in 2008 and shook hands with Kenyatta 2. It's called handshake. Then this one now. You see, in all these incidences, there is a pattern. that in everything he does, he has the foresight to emerge a winner, which convinces his strong following, the sentimental followers that I was talking about earlier, that he is a political genius. That's the same thing. That if your target was landing in the sun, if you land at the moon because you have inability to go to the sun, you are still in the outer space. Raila has a way of taking something small and making it look bigger. We have never seen a campaign for the African Union Commission like we have seen this. Can you imagine when Mrs. Zuma was the chairman, a Kenyan was his vice, Ambassador Erastus Mwenja. Nobody knows really, beyond the corporate world and beyond the academy, not many people know Ambassador Mwenja. But Kenya has held the vice chairmanship of the AUC. We never saw this campaign before, but we are seeing it because it's Raila involved. Take something small, magnify it, and make it look to your constituency. Now, there are people in all corners of this country, including his bastion of support in Luoland, who believe that he's going to become the president of Africa. In fact, for them, the African federal government has just been born. He's overqualified. Whether or not he will get it, that is another question altogether. You get that? Because there are other, political and geo-economic dynamics within the AU member states that are likely to mitigate against his candidature. Raila is overqualified. If he will bring any meaningful change to the continent of Africa, it will not be necessarily because of that position. It will be because he is Raila, a transformational leader, a man who believes strongly in good governance, and a pan-Africanist. Because those are the credentials he takes there. If he makes any change, it will not be necessarily because of the wherewithal that he gets by occupying the office. It's because he is actually the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. Raila is not an amateur hunter. Raila is a man who has killed elephants. Now telling him to run after a rabbit is something that I find extremely interesting. If you understand what that analogy is. Well, by reason of history and probably the influence of France, support the candidate from Djibouti. If you remember, during the purported debate, which has never happened, it was happening for the first time because it is Raila involved for this seat. The Djibouti candidate first talked in French and then talked in Arabic. That was telling, because those two are his constituencies. Those countries in Africa that are geopolitically Arabic, the north of Africa, are likely to support him. The Francophones are likely to support him. The Anglophones, they are also divided, the English-speaking, because if you look at, the current posture of foreign policy has rubbed a few Anglophone countries the wrong way. So that's why I'm saying that this competition for Raila will go either way, win or lose. But in whichever way it goes, I foresee Raila as a winner. If he loses, he wins big at home. If he wins, he will win big in Africa and at home.
Hujambo mtazamaji.